And we're recording. Alberto Gallazzi, thanks for being on Fitness and Consciousness.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So in my mind, there's a few methods or certifications in the fitness world that are just a head above all the others, and one of them is Tacfit. And it's this really comprehensive system involving kettlebells and yoga and clubs, and you're a big part of that, and you created some of the system, correct?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for asking. So Tacfit is a system that's been created originally from Scott Sonnen in America. Me and Scott, we know each other for a while, for a long time, since '94. Okay? We met in US a long time ago when I used to live there. I was married there and started this relationship. Then our paths separate for a few years, different business. And then years ago, I was looking for a different way to train myself, and I saw those club bells and I found interesting. So I flew back to US, and I started to learn how to use the club bell, bring it back to me. Scott, we start to get back in our friendship more, and they call us to go in Israel and to start to present the material. So at that time specifically, we were sitting in Israel. We started to thinking about how to codify something that was able to support people that are facing big stress inoculation, okay, for physical and psychological. So Scott is a brilliant guy, and he was very famous for his flow and mobility, and my side was more about conditioning, strength, and something like that, and combat scenario, and I have a better background on military. So we start to talk together. His genius brain with my knowledge, and we start to put something together, and that was the beginning of Tacfit. Okay, so Tacfit at that time was a step forward to other kind of conditioning, because the other systems were more focused on performance. We were focused on more about, okay, you go into performance, we need to teach you how to recover from that kind of high intensity, bring you back fast in a state of you reset the hormone system, the nervous system, so you can reproduce the performance more often without burning out your surrenal gland, your nervous system, and so on. So you don't go into a overboarding of cortisol or stress inoculation. So you can your longevity will be increased in a performance way, but also, your health state inside is not just an aesthetic coming from training, but, your cognitive, so your brain can benefit from that and so on. So different capability we can work with the fitness system, right? Then eventually Scott gave me the go to try to evolve the system and go around. And I start to study a lot of neuroscience application. I belong to a group of people. They have a different background in different combat scenarios. So we take analyzing what happened about people that have some post-traumatic stress disorder. They've been deployed in some place, or people that've been facing distress or any kind of pathology. Health pathology from overboarding of stress, and I start to take all the study and understand, okay, we can do a lot with the fitness system. It's not just an aesthetic or performance way, but we also can try to codify the brain and making like a super learning process. So if you can bring back a normal homeostasis state or internal, and we can use the way to communicate to the brain and get the brain going from more complex movement and release more myelin, so the connection between neuron and axon becomes stronger, we can develop more plasticity into the brain, and there is like a chemical response when you switch in from different brain wave that is like if you are in a magic cocktail of different positive drugs that can make you happy, healthier, you can think better, you can do better. And that's the job that I try to do those days. I try to, develop more the system and try to focus more, what can I do to support people physically and mentally? Because, let's be honest, nowadays, years ago, athletes especially, they were, refusing maybe yoga. What is yoga? They didn't understand how important is yoga. It's not just a way to regain mobility, but also a way through breathing to reset and balance your hormone state. You shutting down, you can get the cortisol level to a normal flow, so you can recover better eventually when you go to sleep, and you're growing better. And the mobility was like, okay, do we need mobility? Yes, you want to prime your joint, you want to release your fascia so you can perform better into the next workout. And eventually, if you can decompress after in a correct way, you remove any kind of compensation that everybody, even the super athletes, does the perfect technique. Still, you can create a compensation when you're working on one direction. And you want to leave the gym free of compensation so you can recover better, and the next workout will be benefit from that. Nowadays, a lot of system catching up. You can see mobility is everywhere, flow is everywhere. A lot of systems they introduce yoga. So for me, it's good. I'm happy. I'm happy that people, start to realize how important those elements are. As long as you understand your final goal, because that's the problem. A lot of people, they try to put piece of puzzle, but they don't have very clear view of what they want to go. Okay. That's one of my main goals right now. When I try to evolve the system, I extend the certification to 3 days, and I think it's not even enough because I have so many things that I want to give to people, because I switched from a security job to this one because I believe that I want to support people, and I believe that the good way is to create coaches that are ready to give and support people. So now they have a big knowledge and everything. And I try to introduce more neuroscience. I try to introduce mental coaching. I try to understand, bringing inside people that can do yoga for athletes, breathing expertise, like, I don't know, guys that have been recommending apnea so they can teach different kind of mental focus, internal focus into breathing. I like to study and research different expertise that I can give to those guys so they can try to, become the best coach, forgive me the word, but in a way that they can try to really do a good job and take someone to a better state, and not just, let's swing this club and do this just because it looks cool. I don't need that. I need smart people.
Yeah. You're like training like special operators, right?
Yeah. Okay. That was me. It's for me. I believe that it's an opportunity. I feel blessed that I can do that. Yes, especially back here. I start with 2 team, and eventually, after a few years, when those guys see the benefit of this system, the way that we were trying to training, all the other special ops from the Navy, from the mountain. And they start to, for the airborne division, they start to ask to go and show whatever we have and why they should be training like that. And now I'm one of the consultants from the division that recruit all the special forces from Navy, Army, Air Force. And so we try to develop now a specific program for that, because that's another issue, It's understandable. Everybody knows that, okay, through high intensity, you can, try to take people in a high stress environment, because you're going from from Cooper zone, they can go through red zone, but then you go to Grossman, they're talking about the gray zone and the black zone, so you're losing different ability. But those guys, they're also facing a psychological stress. It's a little bit more deeper than physiological. Physiological stress can give you some reaction. Psychological will give you different things. So I try to develop a specific program for them to help them to remove any kind of restrictive force that they have into the body, okay, for the job they do it, and also working in a way to use the movement and the capability to set up the integration of the movement in the learning process. Because think about it, especially in my country, there is not too much resource. Okay? So the operator life is start to be extended. So I find people that have even 40, 45, they're still into the task force. And the scenario right now is changed. So the way they used to do operation 10 years ago, for the environment that we're facing right now, unfortunately, it's different. So we need to break down whole modus operandi and teach them how to do a new model. And every time there is an upgrade. So how an old guy, okay, is able to readapt and to learn and to get chronic those information faster. We need to make this brain understand, okay, this old chronic information that I have, it doesn't work anymore. But you know that when you are under the stress, you try to bring back the information that you have in your ganglia from many years ago. So I need to convince the brain that the new formula, it's much better. Mm-hmm. So it takes a different way to teach them, breaking down hypotheses, models, make this guy more creative. So I need to teach them how to integrate the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain, to be able to be more creative. And every time they find in a freeze, a stop into whatever they were thinking to do, but it doesn't look like it's not what they think they was able to do it. So the brain can create a new formula faster. And that's my job right now. I'm doing a lot of research, and I'm interacting with some scientists to see how far I can go. And I try to get that knowledge and go into my work and test it with those guys with different applications. And I'm happy because I see amazing results. And I see people that in few weeks, they really have a switch. They can get chronic some information that, it was difficult to have. So it's good. And we can go from end-to-end combat to physical, and everything comes in very smooth. So that's my new job. And then that's what I'm focusing with those guys. So the answer is yes. I work with some special ops, and I got the chance to expose the material in Belgium, in another country, to other people. And I'm probably gonna go into New Zealand to another kind of special ops to try to talk about this, because fortunately, even those kind of closed door, group, they start to think, okay, we should be learning from expertise outside. They are not coming here to teach you something about what we do, but to support on what we do, because the training system should be supposed, in my view, should be something that help you to reach your goal and not be a block for what you do. And sometimes you train on something that you like, but that it doesn't fit on your final goal. And sometimes it creates problems, so you cannot really perform better in your task in this case, because you do some training then it's not related, it's not designed for your job. So I need to understand what is your job and redesign exactly the program that can help you, support you, not interfere with that. So that's my job.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And even if someone's not like a special operator, but somebody like me, I do, like, my certification is Strong First kettlebell instructor, and I do a lot of other stuff, yoga and that kind of thing. But like when I'm looking for like the other stuff, it's like I do martial arts, and so I'll like go with like train with a buddy of mine. He outweighs me by 70 pounds. He's 3 inches taller than me, and his technique is better than me. So I go there and just like yesterday, I go there and like about 2 hours of jujitsu, about 30 minutes of boxing sparring. So we have like that stress. So then when I go to you to get like physical training, I don't need you to beat me up more. Right. I need to like, so sometimes I would maybe need that like intensity of the workout, but also I need to like you were saying, like recover from that workout. Right. But still doing stuff, because just like laying on the couch isn't the same. So you have these different programs. So if one guy is like going to war zones, like special operations, extremely high stress that most people, including me, can't even imagine what that's like to be in a war zone. I've never been anywhere close. But we have like these, still have like these stresses. And so your program has recovery from that, but it also has intensity also, right? Right.
Yeah, you touch base in a very big, issues. A lot of people, when I thinking about, I believe that a lot of systems are good. There's a lot of beautiful systems out there. What is the difference? The difference is the guy that transfer the system that they need to be smart. And like you say, you do jiu-jitsu, you're already doing, or sparring, you're already doing some intensity workout right there. If you come to me and ask me to help you to perform better, I need to take that in consideration and understanding. I know your goal. You know your goal. I mean, that's my point B. I want to go there. But me, I need to set up your point A. When you start it, very clear. That sometimes that's the problem. I don't have a clear view, and you don't have a clear view. Where is your starting point? I need to try to, prepare you, and your working part from your point A to point B need to be designed in a way that it doesn't interfere. So I need to understand how many times you go in high intensity, what kind of stress you have or you hold in yourself already, in your lifestyle, in your training, how many times you go into the week in high intensity and whatever. And if I take you and I beat you up in my workout, you're gonna be probably, exceeding. You're gonna go into distress most of the time, and that you start to understand. I can't perform better anymore in my jiu-jitsu. Can't perform anymore in my sparring. Is it me that I'm not good enough? Or it's this Italian guy training me that he didn't understand what's going on. And he just destroyed me. And then now my brain started to get in panic. My physical, I'm exhausted. My surrenal gland are overboard. And everything doesn't work. My cognitive presence is not the same. So I cannot think right when I'm strategically training my jiu-jitsu. And sometimes you just remove some training, take you to maybe some flow movement so you can remove stress. You don't stop. You do a little workout, but you take you maybe to a 65-75% of your heart rate. So you know that it's been proved with some machine that if you work out around those range of heart rate, you increase your capability to switch in, especially if you train smart in a specific way, to your alpha brain wave. And you start to go into a flow zone, like a meditation. So you can start to figure, breathe better, recover, and your cognitive presence stay high, your hormone level shut down. And probably you do 2 or 3 sessions of that, and then you go back to intensity to do your sparring, and you find yourself like a newborn. You fight better again. Because it's not more that is good. It's the quality and understanding how much every day you can beat up your body. That takes you to your point B in a straight line instead to go and changing direction every time and reaching plateau, reaching injury, they take you out of the game and whatever. So that's take a good coach, and that's supporting, entertaining is one thing, coaches another thing. I give respect to everybody, but I believe that especially when you train an athlete like you do martial art and do this. So I consider you someone who's already an high level. To take someone that was sitting on the couch until yesterday and making more fit doesn't take a genius. You just need to close your mouth a little bit more and taking a walk, go to your bike, and you get fit. You can do whatever you like, from dancing, Zumba, whatever, everything's cool. To take an athlete is already a level, and to be able to increase his capability and take out his quality to a different step, you need a coach. You need someone that knows exactly what to do and deal with different individuals in different way, because I need to be able to talk to your brain so you can start to stay with me when I coach you through high intensity, understanding their communication. And at one point, I should be able to almost remove myself into your training. Why? Because I should be there to remove all the obstacles that go through your brain and to be able to reach your goal. So my coaching should be more segmented, more average at one point. At one point, I will remove myself and see if you can understand where you are, self-correct you through the technique, because I'm not going to be in your game when you spar. I'm not going to be in your game when you're swinging in open water or when you are in operation. You should be going to the black zone, losing control, using just gross motor skill, understanding how to go back to a step back red zone, so that I can get back to my fine complex motor skill and thinking correctly and don't do it wrong and do it right every time. So I need to teach you that. The coach is there to help you to build this capability. And at one point, should be just there to remind you something, but not just keeping you, I help you, I help you, I help you. No, because you don't become smart. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't own your movement or your technique.
Yeah. Can you explain what you mean more by red zone, black zone?
Different level of conditional heart rate zone, okay, that can start to deteriorate your capability. And especially when you go into to a red zone and you start to pass in 165 or something like this average, because every individual works better, you start to lose fine motor skill, and then you start to deteriorate complex motor skill. And at one point, when you especially going from gray to black, most of the people, like me maybe, we just related on gross motor skills. So we start to do things by art. We're still fighting, we're still operating, but we can't be perfect. We can't control the complexity of the subject. People that are into becoming resilient to the kind of stress environment, and then you take into the black zone and teach them how to recover fast, and probably using the perfect breathing technique to recover the heart rate fast, so you can shut down faster, maybe 30 beats in 30 seconds. It's a big game. Okay? Average athletes can drop like 35, 40, a good athlete in 60 seconds. So if we can teach someone to drop in 25 to 30 beats in 30 seconds, means that you shut him down fast, and you go back to heart rate zone that can make you think correctly again. Don't think instinctively, but more cognitive. So you can think maybe 300 milliseconds longer. That is a very fast way, but you don't do things to survive. You don't think with logic. So, and if I'm in the middle of the street and I see a car come facing me, I'm jumping away just instinctively. I didn't think about that there is car coming from the other side. I get hit from the car, hitting me in the back. If I know the environment, if I be there, if I know the situation, I might be freezing, watching the car, turn and understand, should I be jumping over here or jumping over there? So longer decision, but accurate. And that happens also when you do your kettlebell swing, you correct your movement to your press, and in your martial art, you get punch and you want to fight back, and then instead of thinking, well, breathe, relax, and understand that if you go fight back, maybe you extend your neck, you get in the second punch, you go out. So you need to condition the brain through expertise to understand when it's time to cool down, switch faster from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic, to a proper better technique, and now go back to that zone of fighting, because that's where you perform. So operator or advanced athlete, they usually can keep complex and gross motor skill and a high intensity heart rate than average people. And that's a good capability. Like a soldier, you need to go run from one point to another cover point, and you need to understand when it's time that you can just bring the guns up and run faster. So because someone maybe is covering it, and now it's gross motor skill final. Someone need to understand, okay, I'm by myself, I need to cover and find my cover over there, still running, be able to aim, and eventually shoot. So now you have different capability that you need to be able to use. So that's different. Not everybody can do it. Most of the people, they're just thinking of running and don't even understand what do they run. Maybe they run into the fire zone and they don't understand. Even a paramedic, a paramedic sometimes, most of the time, should be a combat expert. Why? Because, okay, I come to support you, but I need to be able to understand where the fire comes from, because I don't want to come there and die too. And then now I have other two people to recover, so I need to understand the fighting zone, control the emotion, be able to fight back, to be able to support you, and eventually evacuate you, or to give you support with that, but without having other casualty. So training can do a lot of things. It's not just aesthetic, but it can help you deal with stress and emotion and use different ability. If you can take these guys to a wave of intensity, moderate intensity, no intensity, so you can becoming resilient to those kind of stimulus and dealing better with those stimulus, right? Like your body, why do people now, they do functional training, right? Okay. What is functional training? I believe for me that I train different ability. I love power. I love the strong force. I give you a lot of respect. I have a lot of friends. I try to do workshop those guys. They're very focused on push strength. Great. Okay. I like every kind of training. Myself, maybe I'm not so focused on push strength, but I'm trying to train myself in endurance, maximum strength, explosive, ballistic, whatever. So because I want to have my body becoming resilient to different kind of stimulus and probably becoming resilient to injury better. Because I might be stronger and do my press, but then I have to do a fight, I do a different kind of ability and explosiveness, and I pull my pec or pull my arm. So it doesn't suit exactly what I'm doing. So I need to understand, what is my life? What is my goal? What do I teach? What do I do? I need that training. If your goal is, my only goal is to lift the bar with a bigger load, and that's the only thing that I do, you need another training. You don't need functional training. So that's another thing. You need to understand where you're going.
Yeah, that's so you're also teaching jujitsu. I watched it was like about a 30-minute video. It was in Italian, but jujitsu video. But I'm kind of like familiar with techniques from it because I learned like from my first teacher was like more like traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu. So we start off, we do punching, kicking, throw, everything, but it's more like, it's not really like the competition method, like BJJ competition stuff. We do a lot of the similar, but just different. So it was, I'm familiar with a lot of what you were doing, but you're like blending together the jiu-jitsu and the clubs. You mentioned like the kettlebells. Like what does your, like you just like take us like through what does a workout look like? So like I train with you, you know a little bit about me. I do like martial arts and stuff, and I want to learn your method. Like where do we start, or what does your like a class or workshop with you look like?
Okay, all right. The jiu-jitsu part that I'm teaching, it's something that in the last 10, 15 years, I try to develop for myself for different needs. Okay, I come from I started with the Kung Fu when I was 12. Then I started to do all contact sport. It was American kickboxing at the time. We're talking about 80. I'm 48 right now. And then it was Muay Thai. It came to Europe. Europe, especially Holland, Netherlands, they have a big history and big champion. Then I went to Thailand and spent a lot of many years every year. I used to go 2 months in Thailand, do Thai boxing. I used to compete in that. Then when I start to work more deep in the close protection, I understand, okay, that's a sport. And I saw something that is still violent, it's still good, but it's not what I need because I'm wearing different things and I need to deal with that. I cannot just disappear and sparring. So I need to went to Israel. I spent a month in a kibbutz. I stayed there and I started to study all the Krav Maga and this. But a lot of things I like, a lot of things that doesn't fit me. I still thinking that I'm missing something until I find these guys that is back in Israel. They become a second father. Dennis is Hanover. And this guy, it's a legend over there, right? And years ago, I started to integrate the Japanese jiu-jitsu, the judo, the Kyokushinkai, and understanding, bringing some wrestling technique inside, but understanding for military and stuff, you don't want to be on the ground and just doing groundwork. You're gonna be going to the ground. You need to fight, but you need to start to finish these guys faster, whatever is the need, from lethal to no lethal, and be up faster because you need to do other things. And I find that, okay, that's what is in my mind. I start to study with him. I become one of his first instructors in Europe, and but it started to open my mind. Then I understand, okay, like everything, not everything is perfect, but I start to understand, okay, there is a physical aspect and a mental aspect. When I start to work with Tacfit and Scott, I start to bring the component. The physical aspect that was important. The mobility is important. But now when I teach my people, like special operation, or maybe at that time when I used to have a security team with me, I need to teach something that it can be integrated to those guys faster. So simple enough, but you need to be able to stay faster. And those guys, they don't have time to train martial art every day like we do in the dojo. So it need to be something that can stay in their body and they can reproduce anytime, even without training too much. So I start to use those elements of training, like in mobility, in the flow, like you saw, and try to see, okay, if I train these guys, get them fit, start to stimulate the nervous system, start to bring in the intensity with movement, and then I try to transfer those movements to a technique that I don't even call a technique. It's an opportunity. You find every fighting is different. You find an opportunity. Now you understand principle. I can break the arm in different direction. I don't need to understand how the break is called. I just need your brain to remember the arm can break over here in this position. So whatever position I find, I understand the focus, I can break. The neck is the same. And once I understand how to break the arm, and then now I find the knee and the foot, I understand it's the same leverage and I can break it over there. So it was easy to transfer. Okay? And now I can understand body. I know how to be broken through training, and I understand biomechanically, so I understand also little point and stuff. And so I start to integrate all those things in the training, using the training to help them to understand how the body moves, how the body break. When the reaction, when you are into pain, you run away from pain. When you break and you close it down. So you start to observe during the fight, understanding when you are creating a big damage, so you probably can go deeper and so on. So when people come to me, they want to just do the physical training. Okay, let's work on that. If they want to also integrate that kind of part, I try to, use the system to add the mind understanding more, and now I integrate technique. That is principle more for me. It's principle. Like if I teach you, how to shoot with a Glock, you understand the principle. If you got a good shooter, then they give you another kind of gun. You start want to understand what is the set and stuff. Then you get familiar. You shoot it anyway. The principle is principle. It doesn't lie. Right? You understand principle in your kettlebell, how to grip, how to flex, what is the straight line for your press. Then you're using a club. Okay, it's different geometry. The principle is the same. The body moves in that way. So once you codify that, everything becomes simple. That's the magic, because you're taking people that they never do something, and you take it to a flow, then you take it to a conditioning. So people, they hold the movement to high intensity, and now you start to go into the long side of the long memory and transfer. And now you take it to a technique, and they see the technique come easy, and they say, wow, that's the movement that we did before. Exactly. And now I trick your brain, because you do something that you're already familiar, and now you realize that it's a technique. Yeah. And it's easy. It's easy. It's an easy way to teach people. Because I need to teach people faster. Some of those guys. I don't have months or years. I need to find a solution to make them effective faster. And then, because I understand the equipment, because I understand what they do, or your limitation, my limitation, I try to see what is the capability. When you do your mobility or your flow, I study you. There is a lot of movement out there now, and I believe that it's beautiful. I love to see. There is coach out there that amaze me when they see their movement, like Guido Portalo, stuff like this. I watch and I say, wow, those guys, wow, fantastic. I wish I can move like that. And I give respect to other days. The way that I teach movement is, for me, it's like an investigation into my body, and the way that you move, it will tell me a lot. You are like a picture now that can show me what is your limits, what you can do, what you cannot do, and where you're bleeding capability. So I need to fix that. And I start to design in my mind, what can I do with these guys? How can I load these guys? How much I can teach to these guys today to don't create too much traffic in his brain and get things stay with me for longer and growing, and not just reaching whatever they say. So I use movement in a different way. So it's maybe a little more complicated, not for everybody. They want just to enjoy sweat. But for people that want to do a switch, I believe that would be the right way to go. So my way to teach is a little bit, it sounds complicated at the beginning, but then you do things, and you be amazing what you're doing, because I make yourself believe that you can do it. And that's a good, you will always know that you can be the best guys, the best fit guys, but if your brain has too many conflict inside, you can't perform. But if your brain starts to believe in your capability, man, you do crazy things. Even if you are not perfectly fit, but you still believe that you do that. Some people, they are questioning too much into the brain. They go into conflict before a fight or performance. They're perfectly fit, but their brain stop them to perform. So we need to make those elements work together and becoming stronger guys, fighter or whatever, performer.
Yeah. What would you say like the tool that you use the most would be like the strength tool? So is it more like the heavy clubs, kettlebells?
All right. Yes. Okay. I love all the tools because I love to have variability in my training, because I believe you can become great at kettlebell, and then you find using a barbell, and yeah, you're still stronger, but it's a new tool, new dimension, new way to attack your body, and you need to rebuild everything. So I like to use everything: rings, clubbells, kettlebell, barbell. My specific tool is club. It's something that for me fit well because I come from a weightlifting bodybuilding times. So I was thinking the bigger I am, the stronger I am, and I realized it wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
And I create a lot of injuries because I start to load always my structure too much, compress my tissues and my joint. So when I found the club, I found that the pulling action of the club, the traction, the different kind of torque action they create, so into my axis, okay, it was much better for me, and it started to depress my joint, so create more space, more synovial fluid. So like for me, it's like changing my all every time I'm swinging those two. And the feeling of strength that I have, because it brings me back to a fighting era, and I understand that the evolution of the human being, when we got vertical instead of be quadrupedal, we start to understanding throwing object, like spear, stone, fighting with sword. That's where we become stronger up here. We lose a little bit of power over here, and that's a lot of injuries come from, especially when the people don't understand about torquing, keeping everything into the pack and pressing the correct way. People, they just go, and disconnect the shoulder from the torso because they don't have torque action, so the lats is not working, it's not firing properly, there's no depression, they get injured. The club belly bring you back to what you are more designed right now, and I like it. It's very transportable, and it gives me a good feeling of rotational power that I use when I kick and punch and whatever. Kettlebell, I love them a lot because they have a different kind of stimulus, and I can do things with kettlebell that I cannot do with clubbell, because the only limits that I find in clubbell that, for instance, if I want to increase pull strength, maximal strength, and go more and I create a program, to program myself to increase my specific strength. Kettlebell, it's difficult to create the good algorithm. Why? Because you working more on a torque action, a centripetal, and so I need to put a machine in the club to understand how much power do I create. With the kettlebell, I have different weight, and I can be more precise. Barbell, I can be very precise because I can add little plates. So I like everything for the need of the moment. Okay? Clubbell has his goal, and barbell and kettlebell, they have different things that I can reach with that tool, and the opposite. And I also believe that if I can work with those variability, also the body weight and the rings, it's like me having this t-shirt, and I can always add something inside until this fiber is become unbreakable, because I have more type of fiber inside these tissues, so it never break. So I like to attack my body in that way, so that I can really think like, okay, my body now is ready for a lot of kind of different attack, because I have different ability, and it's always a new learning process. That's good for me. I like a lot of rings, a lot of work on gymnastic. It's something that really make me, it's challenging. But for me, when something is challenging, it means that I need to go and put my white belt again every time, leave my ego on the side, and, restart from scratch and understand why I can't do this muscle up. I'm a human being, I have 2 legs, 2 arms, and I'm not different from these guys. I need to do it. And so I go through all the process, whatever is it, until, I make myself achieving the goal. And, everything, if you really want and you work harder, you can do it. It might be not the gymnastic of the Olympic, but you can do a lot if you really want to do it. So as long as you take in the process, you enjoy the process, you don't stress too much, and you do the right progression. Because everything from joint to tendons and muscle, they need to have a time to adapt to the new things. Some people, especially now when the calisthenics came, another beautiful things to do. Big guy, muscle, young guys, they start to do back lever. Okay, you can do one, you can do two, and then finally you find your biceps, breaking down because your ligament is not ready for that kind of, training, for that kind of intensity. You need to give your body a time to adapt to the new things, and that's what sometimes the ego that doesn't make you wait, doesn't give you the opportunity to say, you know what, wait, go slow, progress, check the building from the first floor to the last floor. They want to take the elevator to go to the last floor faster. They don't understand that if you didn't understand every floor and taking the step, now there is a fire going on and you don't know the route to evacuate. And now you have a problem because you don't know where to go and you go into panic and you're done. So that's
I like that analogy. That's good.
So I like to take all the steps and understand what I am so I can go back safe, or eventually when I'm ready, I go forward.
Yeah, when you're doing your club, your kettlebells, I've seen a fair amount of the Tacfit kettlebell, and so like I mentioned, I'm a strong first instructor, so that's hardstyle. Like every swing is explosive, and everything is just like it's all like power endurance, but like strong first is more power, where like sport style is more endurance. Mm-hmm. And so where does Tacfit, like what you do with kettlebells, where does it fit in to the kettlebell world?
Okay, I'm a very straight guy. Okay. Me personally, I believe the strong first, the hardstyle, is what we need. The other thing is sport. It's a sport. You already said it's sport. It's good for the sport. I like the hardstyle. It's my choice. I send a lot of my guys to strong first certification to understand what those guys that do best. Kettlebell. You go to the best to learn. You don't learn from Tacfit. Sorry. I'm good on other things. You want to learn the best on kettlebell, you need to go to those guys. You want to understand about coaching high intensity, probably you need to come to me and whatever. Okay? So I like to study. I have a good friend, one of the master training in strong force, Fabio Zolin, and I like to train. When I have the opportunity, we have a good friend, I say, can you train me? Can you show me? Because I like to understand better. Because I use this tool, but I want my guys to use this tool correctly. So and I understand the principle. First of all, you need to understand you become strong. If you become strong, now you can hold different other ability because you own the tool. You understand what you're doing. Now you can go from different kind of ability. But if your technique is weak and you don't understand what you're doing, you're just playing around. Yeah, you're playing around until the weight is light. But when it becomes a little bit heavy, that can lead in an injury faster. And when we preach, it's injury prevention. So injury prevention for me means you need to understand what you're doing. And what I'm doing, if it's not accurate, let me go study to someone that can teach me how to use active. Because now when I can control it, then I might be taking that in high intensity with more safety. So me, I prefer the hardstyle. I prefer the design of the kettlebell, the strong first or RKC, they use it. So more hardstyle stuff. And that's what I suggest people to do. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's what makes the most sense to me. I respect a lot of different ways, and I'll do like kettlebell juggling, and like so it's fun to do like all these like fancy tricks, and I think it has applications to fighting when you're doing like all these weird things, throwing it behind your back, catching it in the front, and just like weird stuff that like grabbing it. So maybe it helps you like to grab somebody's wrist when you're fighting them. Maybe it helps me to if I'm fighting somebody and because of the kettlebell training, I'm grabbing this kettlebell where the handle's spinning around, or even if it's just doing like snatches, like where I'm not doing anything fancy, and that velocity and that force just helps me to hang on to somebody's wrist better.
Mm-hmm.
Or and when I like practice more like the sport style, my numbers go up though. You know, like if I'm doing like push presses, if I do them sport style, I can do more. But it's like, so I have like this kind of internal struggle with myself of, well, what's better? If I can do more this way, doesn't it mean that that's better? But it's like I keep going back to the hardstyle because it seems like it applies better when I'm grappling with somebody. It's like the rack position. My spine looks the same as if I'm squatting,
mm-hmm.
or if I'm like trying to like fight somebody, grappling like clenched up. If I flex my spine when we're clenched up, I'm going to get thrown, or I'm going to get thrown or like moved around. But if I have that good posture, same as I use in the strong first, I'm not going to get thrown. Even if I'm fighting somebody bigger, if my spine stays straight, vertical, then you're not going to throw me like that. So, like, do you see the strong first style apply to your jiu-jitsu also?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, like for instance, think about when you clinch. You know, like I say, I go to Thailand very often, and then what amazes me when I see those little guy, and you try to clinch with them, and I see I'm sitting over there, and I look sometimes coming those big Dutch guy, try to grab the neck, and those guys, what they do, they torque the hips, they torque, of the shoulder level. They are in the solid position. Those guys, they cannot even bend them. They're hard to move, hard to be thrown. They know how to move the hips and creating a stable, solid position through the spine, through the torque, through the hips. And I watch and I say, man, that's the principle of the force. Before you squat it, before you're doing a zerker. And I see, when you are in a stronger position, you can load yourself better, but you can also resist of force. So like I say, I like to see those things. It's funny, but it doesn't fit me because for different reasons. I like to be able to. I don't think about using a sport train me for another things. So that's sport to train you for that sport. It's already said that. So I use a training system that is not a competition system that I can design around to support my sport or my needs. So I don't train a sport with another sport first. Second, I never thought about, juggling, whatever, to grab and they can help me to have, and that's a good idea, what you said. I like it. But also thinking it's good for me. But I will never teach a class and having a class of 20 people, let those kettlebell go around or with the clubber, because I see people do with the clubber because they say, man, it's too dangerous. Mm-hmm. I can watch one, I cannot watch the other, and I know someone is going to do a disaster. So it's not something that I probably going to teach. And if it's something that I don't, that's me. If I don't feel something is for me, I'm not able to teach, because one thing that I cannot do is lie to people. So when I teach something, it's because I really believe it. I tested, and it's something that for me is the way. If something is, I don't know, I cannot teach people, and I don't use it. And if I don't use it, I cannot transfer to you, and you will understand that I lie to you faster. So I can convince you to do that. And I believe that Hardstyle principle of understanding good platform, how can I put myself, it can be very helpful, yes, in fighting, in grappling, because I know when I'm in a solid, straight, position, they're difficult to throw me. Difficult. I have a solid position now. You need to really work harder to pull me out. What I find myself when I start to wrestle, I like wrestling a lot, catch wrestling and stuff like that, because there is less rules. You can manipulate more. It's me. But I also give a lot of respect to BJJ. I like no gi, and I like to study when I can, because it's also a learning process. But I found that I was difficult to submit. You know why? Because of my movement. Because I understand when I think a lot of people, because they don't understand their body, when they're locked, they think they freeze. instead to be, you know, I'm like water. I understand you lock something, but I still the rest of the body movement. So if I breathe out and understand how my body movement, I might find myself my way out. And sometimes I find myself do some submission that I never studied because I understand how the body break. And once I block the scapula or I block your, you know, your cervical area, and I know that now your limitation on the movement is there, and I break you down, and people tap, but they don't even realize what it was, what kind of submission. I don't know. You just tap because I put you in a position that you were in pain and you were just like to release the pain, but it wasn't that technique. So yeah, you know, those principles apply to everything. And yeah, I think you're right. Strong first or whatever teach you. Good alignment, good solid platform can transfer a lot on those kind of martial arts. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I use Indian clubs, but I only have a 2-pound pair. And I have a buddy of mine, and he was more into the heavy ones.
Okay.
And I wanted to get some heavy ones also. So when you're using clubs, what weights do you like to use, and like what's the difference between a 2-pound pair and a 30-pounder, and like
okay.
1 30-pounder?
Right. All right. Okay. That's a big thing. Okay. I like Indian clubbell is designed more for mobility and coordination movement, and that's good. Okay. If you want to prime your joint, if you do want to regain coordination, you know, it's beautiful. And they've been around for a long time. You know, I already have a book in my house, okay, and it's back probably from my grandmother here, you know, back in the 30s, and it's an elementary school book, and there is a picture of those kids there. Indian club is there because the British, you know, from the First World War, Second World War, they bring it to, and you know, and we are used in the beginning of the 40s when we have the fascist, they used to do a lot of. They used to have the kids do a lot of physical activity, and you go into the old school that we have, you still finding, we call clavette, but they are little Indian clubbers because people, they need to practice with us. You know? So I like those. The heavy clubber, the stick clubber, the clubber itself, whatever you want to call it, you can add more pulling action and torque because now you have something that has a weight on the top, and it's, you know, the leverage is big, so it can also improve your strength, your centripetal and torque, especially. So it can add the mobility of the tool if you're using correctly, but it can apply strength. The only limitation between one and those that the steel clubbell, you need to learn it very well because it takes a second if you do something crazy or something that is not correct to snap one of your joints. So it can be very helpful to support you. But if you play around and you don't own the clubbell and you try to using too much momentum instead of understanding what you're doing, you get a damage, serious damage. Okay. So what kind of weight? You know, I designed to myself even an 85, 90 pounds clubbell I have in my house because I was so focused on bigger is better. Then I realized I still holding the clubbell in 2 hands and they have limitations. So I'm probably not using the clubbell the way they're supposed to be because what can I do with this 90-pound clubbell? The cast or something, okay, it's good for my lats, good for my shoulder, my core, I get stronger, but then a lot of things that I can't do it. So I went back to understanding, you know what, lighter clubbell, maybe the 15 pound, the 20 to 25, that's already a good clubbell. And I start to using 2 separate. So that showed me also the unilateral deficit. It's like jiu-jitsu. You do something wrong, something is not accurate in your movement, you tap out. Because the clubbell makes you naked. As soon as something is not in the right setup, you lose it. And you want to go down to the earth faster. So, you know, it's you need to give a lot of respect. And 2 clubbell of 15 is already 30, you know, it's already 30 kilos for me. 215 is like 30 kilos, 7 and 7 kilos. So you got 30 pounds right there. And now, but they are not connected and you need to coordinate. And now you can work 3-dimensional, you can do more things. So myself, I usually train with the 25 pounds, 20 pounds, depending what I do. And I can do one hand with the 35 pounds. I can do some movement, the reverse miss with the 40 pounds. It's a big weight, but I don't suggest too many people to do it because, once again, a wrong breathing and a wrong pulling, and you do something stupid. So even now, today I was teaching. I just finished to teach a workshop here in Sardinia, in Italy, and I show people technique with a very light tool, like 5 kilos, such as 10 pounds most of the time, but with different application. Most people, even guys, and I have people also from Strong First that look at me like, why these things look so heavy? Because when you start to give respect and use it correctly, the leverage is different. Okay? And you might be pressing the 32 kilos, and then now you have these 5 kilos and different grips, different things. You feel like you have no control. So you need to understand what you're doing to get the benefit. But me, I stopped to show them with big club because I want them to see exactly what they need to do it. So I use the club bell when I teach, then I can go slow enough to make you visualize any particular detail that I try to show you what to do and know what to do. And I don't want to impress you just because I swing in big club, and I want to teach you. Then when I train myself, like I say, 25 pounds, 35 pounds sometimes, and sometimes I need to go back to 15, doesn't matter. As long as, the range of motion that I'm facing, the leverage, if it's a grind movement, if it's a ballistic or an hybrid, make a lot of big difference, okay? So it's, I like mace as well, the mace. Mace is a good tool. It has most of the principle. The only limitation that I see in the mace, it's a big tool. So I cannot do the same kind of application I do with my club. It's not very transportable for me. And it's my gym, the roof is a little bit lower, and big guys. I'm not a tall guy, but some people are, big. And man, you can fit in the gym, so you need to go in the parking lot. So it's and you have a class of 30 people. The maze development, it's big. So if you're swinging around, now you need to have a big space, and you start to have problem. But it's another tool that I will probably introduce if I need to train myself and train someone, because leverage is different, so more core and different ability to swing it around, because now the pulling action is even bigger. I like it. It's a good tool.
Yeah, when you're using the club bells and you have your 25, 30 pounder, are you doing like timed set? You're like, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 minutes, or so how do you program your, like, whether it's reps or time?
Okay, it depends what is the goal of that, my program, or that time or the period. But let's say I can use my club swing strength program. Of course, my main core exercise might be kettlebell or barbell. But am I using my club bell? If I do a floor press, I like floor press, for instance, and I start to do maybe a 3 set of 8 with the slow movement floor press with the club bell. That is very challenging, because you think about, you are laying down, you're creating your arch, you're engaging your lats, you're creating your torque, so you got a new natural extension of your chest. But now I'm pressing something that has a big leverage, so I'm preparing, priming my wrist, and I'm challenging the lats and the pec and the shoulder in a different way. And then with the big low, I go to my barbell, okay, and so on. Or maybe I go stand up and I do flag press outside, so I can fire in and prime in my lats a lot, my shoulder and my pec, and then I go and do my bench press or whatever. Or I can squat with my club bell, and then I go to my Zerker squat. So I use them as a auxiliary exercise. So I might go my 3x8 for that, and then I go for my 5x5, 5x3, or whatever is the program that I use in that time with my barbell. Or maybe if I'm going to my Tacfit, I try to see, okay, I go from 90-30, 90 second work, 30 second recovery, 5 cycles. So I'm facing more strength endurance, right? So I need to understand what kind of exercise that I'm using, understanding how many reps can I do with this tool, 25. And I might do a reverse mills. Okay, how many reps can I do? Can I pass 10 reps? Because if I cannot pass 10 reps in 90 seconds, I'm probably not facing strength endurance, because you should be doing it from 10 plus reps when you try to go for a long walk. So I need to understand the tool, the weight, and the exercise that can allow me to attack that ability that I'm focused on it. Okay. So I design also, it depends. Right now, for instance, I'm more focused on conditioning. and because I try to prepare a girl for a world championship in jiu-jitsu, so I try to spar, and I like, it's more me. I like more to be able to do things, and boxing and wrestling. So my training should be more, and because I'm traveling, in 2 days I'm gonna be in Brazil, so my training space it's limited. So I train from my 20 minutes workout, and maybe I warm up for 10 minutes, and I cool down for other 10 minutes. So I try to compress everything. So I go more into a Tacfit session right now, but I still, maybe I'm doing an AMRAP. Look, I can do an AMRAP like this. I go for 21 swing. Then I go for 13 reverse mid each side. And then I might be doing 8 pull-up. And guess what? Maybe I got 5 reps, and I go for my deadlift. Of course, the load will be not exceeding 85% maybe, because I know even if I'm fatigued, the 85% from my brain is something that I can hold. It doesn't stress me. I know that I can hold technique, and I still, attacking different ability right there into a condition. So.
When you're doing your like yoga, I know that there's like with the Tacfit, they're combining, so you don't just stay on like a mat, because you're moving around, right? So you're covering more of the floor. Can you like explain like the type of yoga or like movement that you're doing, how you combine it, and why?
Okay, when I move around, it's more a body weight. It's more a body flow. Okay, so I prime my joint first of all for a few movements, like cross chain, open chain, to see where I'm at with this joint. Then I try to go a little bit more complex movement, and I try to flow around with integrate those movements together, and I create like a flow routine. They help me to transition my body in 3 dimensions with complexity and allow my breathing with that. Okay, and I try to do that sometime for 10 to 15 minutes, to challenging my heart rate, to bring me into a zone that I can start to release catecholamines, so that I'm ready now to face in my workout. But I still priming my joint, my tissue, to be ready to do a specific warm-up. So I might be more focused on my hips movement if I need to squat and deadlift, or I might be working more on my rolling through my shoulder, open up to my chest, flexion, extension, rotation, my thoracic movement, so that I can press better for that, and I can flow around with that. And it's like, for me, it's like I'm doing an investigation right there, where I'm at today. Yes, because I might just come in from a plane and I'm thinking and do a floor press, and then when I flow, I think like, okay, something's not firing good. I feel like something doesn't allow me to breathe correctly. I go to the range of motion, and I freeze with my breathing, like I'm afraid to go into the range of motion. So I need to understand it, and maybe I go back to a single movement, less complex, so that I can isolate the joint that I want to attack, and see if I can remove the impingement of the limitation of the day, and then flow back again. The yoga part, it's coming at the end of the workout. At the end of the workout, I usually don't flow. I try to basically fire in the opposite that I've been working. If I'm focused on my quad, I might try to find a position that can challenge my hamstring. So now I contracting my hamstring, and now that becoming short, and my quad becoming longer. So I try to decompress attacking the opposite side. Okay, so that I can release stress from the part that I've been working on it. But once again, we all know that we bring in compensation from our lifestyle for whatever we do. So if I have time to dedicate to that, and also do different kind of asana position that help me to release the bigger compensation I hold in my life. And for me, for instance, I have some fusion on my back, okay, on my C7, on my S1, L5. I try to work a lot on my band work, so I use wall, I use a back bender, I use my upper facing dog, so I do everything that I can release and make me feel better, depress my spine, because sitting in a long hour on the plane just makes them worse, plus the pressure that you have in the plane, so it's traumatic for me. But that's the kind of yoga that I use. I'm not a good yoga practitioner, but I use my yoga that it's supporting my athleticism. So I don't try to go into a deeper asana that might be too much for me. I try to fire in something and release in something that I just be working. So I try to find the opposite. I can release tension that I create into my workout and feel that I can probably recover better. I can do better in the next workout. The flow movement is something that I like it a lot because I always see, okay, you can check my moving pattern. Okay? You can see my posture when I'm standing. Then you can make me do some little step across a line and see that my moving pattern is there. But look, when I make you move, three-dimensional, rolling, crawling, moving, I can really see you and what is your limitation. I can check you doing a bear walk crawl, and I can see you don't have dorsiflexion. I understand, okay, this guy need to work that, otherwise his pistol squat is never gonna come. So, and sometimes people, especially new guys or athletes, if you make them doing a boring mobility, they don't want to do it. You make them do a flow that is challenging, but it's also fun. Mm. They like it better, and they start to understand they release tension. And for me, it's me like watching a magic picture. You know, the magic picture that you look and see one design, then you do a few steps back and you see another design. Mm-hmm. There we go. When I see people movement, I see a different picture of the guys, and I start to think like, yeah, what can I do with these guys? So I use movement that way. And that's, for me, it's a good way also to meditate. You know, I'm not, some people that used to try to teach me, you know, switch the light, breathe and meditate. I'm not the kind of guy. But I found that if I flow, during my flow, I'm focused at the moment. I'm not thinking past and future. I'm focused on now. And I'm rolling and I'm breathing. I try to feel myself and I disconnect from everything. And I feel like, wow, now I'm good. And I try to teach this, for instance, for example, to a girl that good competitor in jiu-jitsu, but a lot of self, criticism in the brain. Mm-hmm. You say, you know what, we're gonna flow. And you guess what? She started competing, win, and she said, you know what? I hate flow before. Now I feel that I need to do the flow before the fight, because if I flow for 10 minutes, it's like meditation. My critic brain disappear, and I'm focused. Good. I don't make you meditate like that. I make you meditate through movement. That's good for me, because I try to remove any obstacle that you have to your brain. So it's another way. Plus, I'm priming my joint, because you're going to grab it, move it. So into the flow, that's what you're doing. So you start to prime your joint and see how my hips work today. Or maybe my omoplata is not going to come because I feel that my hips is tight today. So into the fight, if I know that my condition of the day, even if I see an opportunity, I don't even waste time to go to the omoplata, because I see that. But I know that I cannot do it. So I'm going to go to another direction, because I'm going to waste time. And guess what? When you try to do something that you cannot do it, you go crazy. And you might freeze there, and the guys will meet you, because you're losing time in something you can't do. So that's another important thing. I discovered, what can I do today?
Yeah, that's interesting that you put it like that. So if your hips aren't ready for the omoplata, you're just not going for it. And maybe you're just like primed for something else, and then you hit the triangle or whatever. I'll start out with like I teach kids and adults. So they might be as young as like 7 years old. And at the beginning of the classes, like at the beginning of the adult class, we'll do like mobility drills to start off with, like head circles and go through. But with the kids, we go right to like animal movements. I don't have the kids stand there and do shoulder circles and stuff. We just get right to the animal movements, and then hand balancing. So like maybe you're doing like frog jumps or something like that, and then you go into like a crow pose like you would see in yoga. And I would encourage them to just make stuff up. So I'm teaching them, here's 3 things. Here's the bear, here's the monkey, here's the croc jumps or whatever. And then I encourage them to just make up something, and then I'll help them with like what they're like the transition they're working on or something like that. So when you're teaching or when you're doing something, how much of it is this is what we're doing. We're going to go from A to B to C to D to E, and how much of it is just when you're doing the flow? How much of it is improvisational?
Okay, that's a good point. Okay. And we go back to what we discussed a little bit at the beginning of our conversation. That's what I try to, at the beginning point, I might have you doing a routine, point A, point B, point D. At one point, I like you to go freestyle because I need to see how you can be able to logically fuse element and never stop it. And understand if this element can fuse in this one, you're going to be finding an opportunity. If you freeze because you don't know what to do, that's the time the guy overcome your brain. In your OODA loop, you still decide and you're still thinking about observation. What am I doing? What kind of opportunity? This guy is already in action, right? So at the beginning stage, people need to have a routine. Then advanced time, when you start to have some skill, I give you this and this, and I like you to see, okay, for 1 minute, you do this. When I say stop change, I need you to start again. Don't freeze. Start again when you flow for 1 minute. Then I say stop again and check. And every time, at one point, those guys, they just change. Go for a different flow. Change, different flow. And maybe I give you the element. I give you 4 or 5 elements. It's like me opening the fridge. And I see I have these eggs and pasta and this. A good chef, he can create different recipe. A guy that has no skill, he say, I can just do pasta. But you can do different things. You have skill and your brain know what to do. And that's another thing that I try to develop right now. And I tested with the different age, from 20 years old to 55. A little game that the test that I'm doing right now, I created the flow with those guys for 1 or 2 hours. Not difficult, but different element. Then, simple, then complex, then I fuse them together, and they can go for 10 minutes. They know that movement. And now I say, okay, this movement is number 1, this movement number 2, this movement number 3, and 4. And then I start to call 4. And you need to understand, starting from 4, or go to 4, back and forward. Then I say 5, then I say 3. And I keep calling number. Those guys, they keep going. And they find, wow, I keep going. Then I say, no more number. And it's color. It's going to be white, red, black, yellow. And I call, and they start to, okay, this yellow was 3, and they start to keep going. And then it's go alphabetic. At one point of the section, I just might be go, Bravo, Charlie, 3, yellow. And magically those guys, they never freeze, and they do routine, and they stand up and they say, how can I do this? Because I trick your brain. And I show you that your brain can adapt faster as long as the information are correct. And that's what we discussed. The brain can increase myelin. Neuroplasticity never ending. It's believed that when you grow, there is no way that you get more neuroplasticity in your brain. It's not true, because if I lose my eyes today, I need to learn Braille, and probably I need to understand how to use my tactile. And the part of the brain connected to this movement will be growing to make me read again. So neuroplasticity is right there. It's because we try to do whatever we are comfortable. We don't try to challenge anymore, that we stop that. A kid, it's a new development every day. Every day when it's growing, it's a new things, new achievement. So it's still producing myelin. We try to say, stay in the comfort zone. I don't want to go out of my comfort zone. That's a different issue. I try to bring you every time out of your comfort zone with a limitation that it doesn't invade too much. It doesn't be, exhausting you, but I need you to grow up here to be able to relearn, really create more plasticity, and be able to think smart and readapt. So that's how I use the flow. And that's what I do. I try to routine at the beginning just to establish something, priming something, and then, freestyle. But freestyle with logic, not just, because people say, okay, freestyle this, do it again. I don't remember. It's useless. It's useless. Yeah, freestyle, but then show me, then you can remember what you've done, and then change it now. And then you're surprised how many things you can do.
Yeah, I like that, having the different, like ABC or yellow, green, blue, whatever you were saying there. That's interesting how you put that together like that. I'm going to have to apply that to what I'm doing. I like how you get into like what's actually going on in the brain, talking about the myelin and um, so like what do you see as like next for what you're doing, or like what are you doing now to make your system better, or like what do you see? Is there something that like you don't know quite how you're going to apply it? You know you want to add this philosophy or this tactic or this thing that you're learning in neuroscience, and you're trying to figure out how to get it into your system, or
No, I already have a lot of things in my mind. I mean, I already work in a new book that I'm creating, a new system that it's really there, using those kind of elements that I try to introduce to you to help people, let's say, forgive me the word, recodify the brain, reteaching them how to, be a super learner, because you can transfer that to everything, I'm working on this creation right now, and it's gonna be I'm testing in different scenario, and I will bring it to the market soon, very soon. Okay. Tacfit, the system is beautiful in itself, but it's like in everything, this is my iPhone. Every thought day, there is an upgrade because they find the bug. So me as a coach, I'm thinking, okay, what I'm selling is good, but it's not super good. Everything has a bug. And me as a coach, I need to be humble enough to find the bug, fix it, and make it better. Because if I just say, okay, it's good like this, it's going to be ending. And I don't believe it. Nothing is good enough. And that's evolution, new research. We need to take it, and say, you know what? I see these guys doing this, and I say, man, these guys right. That's what I'm doing wrong. And me, every day, like today, I'm teaching normal people, but sometimes I watch and I say, okay, I've been in Tokyo, I've been in Brazil, I've been here, and I can see this method doesn't go through. What I'm doing wrong doesn't go through. What the system is doing wrong, it doesn't go through. And I start to test it on myself, and I see that works, and I go, work. Okay, that's the bug. Remove it, and we go in another direction. But we used to do like that. Guys, we used to start the car like this, and now the car starts with the remote control. So we need to be realistic. Nothing is perfect. So that's Tacfit, and I try to take a different evolution, a longer way process to teach people. The things I was talking to you is something that I'm designing now. There's going to be a new product I'm going to be bringing on the market soon, because it's something that I believe in a lot, and I can see it's transferable to end-to-end combat, to training, to mental approach, to have soccer team learn a new skill, a new game plan, whatever. Because when you bring in a new coach, now these guys come with new models, and the soccer player, they need to readapt to this, but they used to play a different way, so it's hard. When you start to using training to help them thinking different, it's easy to be more creative and understanding faster something that you introduce now, and the process is faster instead of waiting longer time till they realize that process is better. Remove the long one, because unfortunately, when we have chronic in our long time memory, it's hard to remove it. We do things easy now in a safe environment. Yeah, we can copy the new technique, no problem. But as soon as you're challenging your heart rate, you go into stress, into panic, you're bringing back the old movement. Yeah, because that's chronic. And then you try to pull what is your brain remember, not the new things. It's too fresh. So you need to understand that it takes just 5 to 24 hours for the new information to transfer and to become chronic. You need to do a lot of reps, one technique maybe 8 weeks. You test it at different level of intensity. So if you stay together, now I can put a new block, and understand when it's too much, because I don't want to create chaos, traffic. I need to help him to digest the material and feel it. It works. So that's what I'm working on it. To use a different kind of coaching, you can funnel drill to make you becoming a better guy, a better performer, better operator, whatever.
So you said that the new product you're bringing to market, this is the book or the training method, or it's an actual physical exercise tool?
It works. It works in a mental approach and a physical approach, and they combine together, because that's the beautiness. Some people, they digest material more if they're also challenging the physique. Like I told you before, like an example. Me, I meditate through movement. If you ask me to stay and meditate, sit, can't do that. So I have different things that I can attack different people. It's through physical action, through meditation, to specific coaching, and so that I can apply those new things.
Yeah, and your book will be in English, right? You'll put your
Yes. That's the problem. I have it back here in Italy. A lot of people say, "Well, nothing is in Italian," and I understand because not too many Italian right now. The new generation, I bought in English, but guys, I'm blessed to teach out, and English it's what the most of the people talk. So the first edition, or the first presentation is in English. Then eventually we can do an Italian version, a Spanish version, but English is something that nowadays most of the people they speak. So it's even if I go in China, in Korea, when I teach, people speak in English, so it's easy for me to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm sure a ton of people will be interested in that. I was talking to some different buddies of mine that are in the training business about having you on, and it's just such a different level than what is common. So some of my friends, we're all different as trainers, but I've organized some workshops where at first my workshops were okay, I'm the instructor, and then I'm going to have somebody else help me teach my material. And then I was like, well, this guy's not like me, but I really respect him a lot. So I'm going to have him teach whatever he wants. And then I had 5 other instructors teaching all this different stuff like Ido Portal method. And so it was there seems to be this, so it was 5 people teaching completely different things, but we have some philosophy that overlaps. I don't know everything. I'm not everything to everybody. I can teach a good workshop by myself, but if I have a 6-hour workshop and I have 5 different instructors, then that's this, it's a completely different thing, and it's much bigger than just the one. But I can see this thing happening in the fitness world where they are more interested in stuff like you're doing. So it's not just I bench pressed 300 pounds and then I trained for a while and then I bench pressed 400 pounds. That's cool, but you're talking about the flow state, and you're talking about the neurochemistry, and I think that this is just a really cool time, and to have information be able to spread as easily as it is from this new Tacfit's been around for a while, 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so it's not exactly new, but it's always cutting edge, and what you were saying, it's not here's this box of Tacfit and it's going to last you forever. It's constantly pressing the action, or pressing the boundaries of what are we doing as coaches. It's these people pay us money and they expect us to be elite, and it's how do we keep pushing those boundaries. So I'm looking forward to reading what you're going to put out for sure. I'm about out of questions. Is there something else that you were wanting to get into?
I don't know. I like whatever I talk about. I think we cover a lot, and I think that's you're perfectly right. And that's my point. When people pay me, and it's good. Okay, we all work, it's money, but I believe this kind of job, when you take it seriously, is because you really want, to give something to people. There's some job that it's something that you need to feel inside. In the close protection, before I was doing that, and I'm thinking, you know what, you need really to care about other people more than you. It's like a vocation. Otherwise, you just go there, but then it doesn't help you because you might be going to a shit scenario overseas, and you need to care about that guy, but you need to really believe that you want to do this, because otherwise it doesn't work. Okay? It's like when our guys, and God bless all of them, they're being deployed. Those guys, they don't go there for money. If they go there for money, they're never going to bring their life back. They go there because they have a belief. And that's why, I mean, those guys are angel for me, because they go there for a strong belief. They go for us. And that, man, those guys, you know, they want to fight back, to come back, because that's how they come to, you know, to have us have a beautiful life. So some job like being a coach, it's me, man, I want to really support you. And to be supportive, it's not about money, but it's me always to be growing, so that I can help a wide scenario, not just doing, like you say, one specific action, end of story. No, there is a big things coming with the things we do. You know, Leonardo da Vinci, years ago, he say, mens sana in corpore sano. It was already there. My body, I'm healthy, my melting up here is all connected, man. That's. I was telling today those guys the analogy. You know, Michelangelo, the artist. Okay, yeah. When he created the Pietà, the Pietà was one of his first, you know, maestro things into the marble. You know, there's a book. They say, okay, they used to think, okay, this guy is you know, it's a master, it's a maestro, and the guy is saying, no, man, I don't see that I'm a maestro. It's mastery, because I was 13 years old when I started to work on this thing. So it took me years to understand. 1 year to choose a piece of marble. And I see the marble, but I was already, in my vision, I already see inside the statue. It took me 1 year to choose the perfect marble, because I cannot take the chance to break the marble. So I know that kind of marble, I can work in a specific way, so I can take out this statue. And it make me think, man, this is exactly our job. I need to see the guy and understand exactly what can I do with the guys. I can have a vision, like be an artist. So I see science is a big component, but you need to be an artist to be able to use the science correctly, so you can bring the best out of these guys. Because you might come to your gym and to my gym an athlete that is talent. But if me and you do a stupid job, we don't know how to take the talent out. The talent will go out of the door in a few months, and the guy can't discover his real talent because we are not good enough. So I take responsibility of my job, and I try to be the best that I can. And if I can help you, I send it to someone best. It might be I send it to Storm First, I send it to Ida Portal, whatever is it, you can take the best out of you. That's someone that need to be humble enough to understand what is my limit, how can I improve myself.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's really good. So how can people find what you're doing? How can they find your programs?
All right, they can, in America, I have my company called Secutor Group. You can find me on Instagram under my name. You can find me in Instagram under Tactical Europe, or on Facebook. Or, I'm still working with the Air Max International that is in US. So when I'm doing workshop in US, they are promoted by Air Max International. If you are in Europe or you want to see what I'm in Korea and stuff like this, you can either go to Air Max International or to tacfitagenda.com. That is where you find all my workshop. Or you just, follow me on Instagram and just shoot me a message. I always answer. That's me fighting with my girlfriend, because I cannot avoid to answer to people. I feel like I'm disrespectful. Sometimes people write me, and maybe I'm not in the same moment, but I always run to everybody, answer to everybody, because I feel like that's part of me, what I just discussed. If I don't answer to you, I don't do my commitment. So it's not logical for me. I need to be there for you. That's me. Otherwise, I'm gonna change the job. So Instagram, Facebook, or survivaljj.com. That's my email. Shoot me an email. I will get back to you.
Yeah, that's good. So any give us some closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Give more than you receive. That's what you have to do. Give more than you receive, and that's will be the beautiful. All the good things that will come to you. Be ready to give more. That's it.
I like it. Alberto Gallazzi, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and learned a lot. I'll be looking for your book, and I'll be checking out your method for sure. I already have been, like I said, but I'll be digging in more.
Thank you so much. Thank you so I really appreciate for you. You give me a good opportunity. Thank you so much. Appreciate
All right, thank you. I'll turn off the recording and I'll talk to you for a second
Okay.
off the record.